Did you know if you make a mistake with your client and you honour it, you rectify it, it's going to be successful for your business? They say if you make a mistake, that is the best way to learn. Over 4 decades, I've learned a lot and I've made a lot of mistakes. Come on, who's made a mistake with a client and hasn't admitted it? What can that do to you? How can that damage your business? Or do you own up, tell the truth and get on with it? G'day viewers, Geoff McPhee's Gardening, Melbourne, Australia. Making mistakes and honouring them and owning up to them, more importantly to the client, goes a really long way. Listen, I've made quite a few mistakes and I'm going to give you 3 or 4 examples. Some are funny, some are not, but at least you'll get an appreciation of how I've handled those. Because if we don't make mistakes, we're never going to learn. And look, when we're kids, we always blamed our brothers or sisters or somebody else. We always blamed someone else but ourselves. And I see this in business too, a lot of people. It's always someone else's fault. You never look at yourself and say, is it really my fault? And if it is your fault, to rectify it, you would not believe how beneficial that is to your business. Today's video, I'm going to give a few examples of what's happened. Look, one day I was doing a major cleanup for this lady, and a ute like this, it was packed full of rubbish, and I couldn't see out the back. And I had to go down this long driveway, as you'll see. A similar driveway to this, raised bushes each side, and what happened, I had to back down because I couldn't turn around. So I hop in my trusty ute. What happened, I hit a tree, right? And because the mirror is fallen back. So when I get in the vehicle, I can't look out the rear vision mirror to be able to see down the driveway. I couldn't look out the back window because I've had so much rubbish on the back. Looking out no rear vision mirror, so I've decided, because I can't see out the back, I'll open the door and I'll lean out so I can see when I'm driving. And remind you, this driveway is full of beautiful standard roses and they were magnificent. It took me months and months and months to get this property up to scratch, and we finally, last day, going to the tip, doing the right thing, lean out, reversing back, leaning over, and then I fell out of the ute. So I picked myself up, and the ute, it just went down the driveway, knocking over all the roses, bang, bang. And of course I picked myself up, shook myself out, and I thought, well, I hope I haven't done any damage here. Anyway, I hadn't, I was all right. You know, the ute stopped at the end of the driveway and the lady come home, and I thought, oh, I'm in trouble here. And she said, you're right. You know, she wanted to take me to the hospital, and I said, no, I'm fine, I'm really good. And, you know, she was looking around at the devastation, and I was sort of looking down and thinking, oh God, what am I going to do here? What else could I do? I had to admit that I stuffed up, I made a mistake. I said to the lady, no, I'm going to get this fixed. No, Geoff, I'll help you with the costs. I know it's going to cost a lot of money. He said, no, I'll handle everything. I'll repair the roses, I'll replace the roses, I'll have it looking back to what it should be. You know, as it was, I'm insured, insurance company paid for all the plants and even paid partial labour as well. And the moral of the story was, doing all that, and the lady was so impressed, she recommended me to all her friends, and she's still a customer today, and recommended me to some great friends because of my honesty. You know, I sort of manned up and said, yep, well, what else can you do? You could run away, I suppose, and not go back, you know. And I've seen gardeners do that. I've seen gardeners make horrible mistakes and they fall off the planet of the earth, you know. I don't know why, but anyway, that's what can happen. I've made plenty of mistakes, and probably one of the best ones, I reckon, was a guy rang up and he was urgent. He had to have his lawn done that day. And when I was starting out, of course, you'll take those jobs on. You know, he said, look, don't worry about quote and just do it. We went on a lot of trust back then. You could tell the guy was an elderly gentleman, and I thought, yep, not a problem. I'll do the lawn and then give me the invoice and you'll pay me. So I went along and I went up the street and I thought, oh yeah, I've got the right number here and the grass looks like it needs doing. So no one's home. So I thought, well, I'll go in and do the edges, and did a beautiful job and spent a little bit extra and just really, really done a fantastic job. and got home, left the invoice in the letterbox, got home and got a call. Mate, this is Bob from number 9. I said, oh, okay, yeah, yes, Bob, how can I help you? Oh, you did my lawn today. I said, no, I did Jack's lawn. Well, I'm Bob. Jack lives 2 or 3 doors down. Yes, I got the wrong house. And I said to Bob, well, rip up the invoice. Don't worry about it, mate. Anyway, put the phone down. Jack rings. And he wasn't happy. You promised me you were going to do the lawns today, Geoff. I said, yes, look, I know, mate, I'm sorry. And I told him the truth. Jack, I stuffed up. I went and did the wrong house. Well, he laughed. He said, yeah, well, sometimes we do some silly things. I said, yep, well, I've done one for sure. Anyway, I said, Jack, I'll be there tomorrow morning first thing and I'll do the lawn and I'll do it for free. He goes, no, you don't have to do that. I said, yes, I did. I owned up to my mistake. I've got to do that. Well, owning up to mistakes can be a fantastic benefit for your business. See what happened, Jack said, rang up a couple of weeks later, he said, can you come and do the lawns on a regular basis? I want it done every week. That was my first introduction to weekly mowing. And I thought, yeah, I'll do that, Jack, no worries. So I was doing his for about a week or two, and next minute Bob comes up and he said, listen, Geoff, can you do mine as well? So out of that being honest and telling Jack and doing a free lawn and doing Bob's lawn for free as well, I've ended up with 2 clients, and they lasted a very long time. And through honesty and owning up, I certainly did all right out of that one. Like another mistake that some of us own up, some of us don't, is when we quote for a garden job, clean up. We say to our customer, the quote to clean up that general area over there is going to be X dollars. You go ahead, and I've done the job, weeded and pruned the hedges, and went back to the lady. She said, oh, that's great, but what about the roses? I said, but I didn't quote the roses. Well, you said you were going to clean the garden beds, and I assumed you were going to do the roses. So my mistake, why? Because I didn't clearly communicate what I was going to do, and therefore I owned up to that mistake and I pruned those roses for free. That taught me a very good lesson for the future. When I do a quote, I itemise every piece. Prune the roses, do the hedges, fix the sprinkler system, itemise everything. So if they introduce something outside of your quote, you can say, look, I'm sorry, but that's not in the quote. And you've got the copy there, and that's straightforward. But many times you'll find a customer will ask, and a good customer, listen, while you're here, would you mind just trimming that branch? It might be just one branch. Sure, you're going to do that. But the ones that keep asking all the time, well, that's when you're going to start pulling them up for sure. But with that mistake about quoting, own up to it. Another mistake that some of us own up, some of us don't, is line trimming around windows and stones, etc. If you're line trimming and you hit a window, you're going to own up to it, aren't you? Well, most of us will. Many, I would say 99%. Of course, you'll get some people that won't, but you own up to it, you get the window fixed, end of story. But what about the times when you go home, the customer rings and says, Geoff, you've broken me window. Okay, let's go over and have a look. And you look at it and you think, yes, I think it is. I think I have done it. You look around, obviously it had to be me. So you own up to it. But there may be times when you go there, there's a few stones around and you've looked at all the windows and you might see a break in one of the windows prior to you starting. You've got them straight away. I tell the customer, listen, you've got a broken window. Can you please, make sure that you don't blame me? Or what if little Johnny leaves a little car in the grass and you can't see it and flicks up and goes through the window? Do you own up to that? Is it your fault? Some say yes, some say no. What's the conditions on your quote? Any responsibilities, please pick up all the debris, etc. And if they don't, well, maybe it's their fault. It just depends. A lot of the time, if I see some stones around, I'll either rake them away or clean them up, or if there's a lot of them, I'll just say to the client, listen, you're going to have to fix this up because I can't touch it. Otherwise, I'm not going to accept any responsibility for breaking your window. And I thought I'd rather not do it anyway because I don't want to go through that fight. But there'll be times when I do break the window and I'm really not sure, but maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I'll say to the owner, I said, listen, get it on your insurance. I'll pay excess, might be $50. Because if I put it on my insurance, my excess is going to be a lot more and my premium's going to go up. And it seems to work out with the good customers. Look, there's going to be people that are going to take you for a ride, and it's a personal thing. You know, what do you do? You know, it's a very difficult one to do, and you can put terms and conditions in, quote, and all that. But at the end of the day, look, is it worth the cat fight of you know, he said, she said, and going to solicitors and over a bloody broken window, which is, you know, a couple $100 or whatever? I don't know, but I just make sure that I look around. I make sure the windows are all good before I start, and we just go from there. So I'm a great believer in being honest in business. Being honest and honouring that to your client, it's going to go a long way. You're going to have a lot of success in business if you have that tact. Look, I know gardeners, some people will make excuses. I tell it how it is. I tell the truth. They might not like it sometimes, but at the end of the day, you're happy with the way you've performed. So a little bit of honesty, or a lot of honesty, is just so important. Are you always honest? You know, do you give excuses? You know, you say, oh, my mother-in-law's died for the 5th time, you know, because that's why I never come out to go to the funeral, all those sort of things. I think I'd just rather just tell the customer, listen, I forgot to put you on the calendar. I stuffed up. I'm sorry. And if they're good people, they'll accept that. You know, and it's just like the lady, you know, that big long driveway that I failed, but I come good. You know, I made Jack's lawn for nothing. You know, the people that I quoted for, I make sure that I itemise it. And look, there'll be some times when a little old lady will want a little bit extra. Oh, what's it take? Another 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll do that one. As long as you're not doing 20 of them a day and you're working for nothing. But surely we can give something back to some people at some times. But, you know, it's all within reason. We're still here to run a business. We're still here. We're going to make a profit. We've got to do all those things. But we've got to do some nice things as well. Viewers, look, thanks very much. Please, if you haven't subscribed before and you're watching this, jump on, hit the button. Let's get that subscriber list going up, and, you know, share my name around a bit if you can. And please like, and I'd love to hear your comments. Tell me about some of the things you might have not been truthful about, or you have. You know, I love hearing those stories, and there's some good ones too. See you in the next video, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.